So the Moncton Tigers are back once again here, but there were three special players. Connor McDavid's going to be one of them, a 97 overall and the highest rated forward in the NHL. When it comes to the defense, we're going to see Cale Makar here. Now technically he's tied for the highest rated defenseman alongside Quinn Hughes. They're both 95 overalls, but I decided to go with Cale Makar for the sake of this video. And when it comes to goaltending, we're going to see Andrei Vasilevskiy here, 29 years old, a 93 overall and the highest rated goaltender in the NHL. I've put all three of these players onto one team together and we're going to try to win them a Stanley Cup. Not one, not two, not three, but as many as humanly possible until one of them retires, meaning Andrei Vasilevskiy. He's the oldest player out of the three. More than likely, he's going to be the first one to retire. But unlike some of the videos I've done in the past, we're not just going to simulate season number one here with these three players. We're actually going to make some trades first, and this first trade is going to be coming with the Seattle Kraken. Because Seattle, they have one player that's an 84 overall that doesn't really have that high of trade value, but he can definitely turn into a superstar if he's playing alongside Connor McDavid, and that player goes by the name of Tolvanen. 84 overall, low elite potential. We're going to definitely unlock that potential today, especially if he's playing alongside Connor McDavid. So before we do anything here, we're going to be trading one of the Jordan NHLs away. We're going to be giving up a third rounder and we're going to be giving up a fourth. I feel like this should be enough in order for us to acquire Tolvanen. So Tolvanen, you're going to be the first guy requiring today's video. Let's get this deal done. I'm surprised that they're saying no to this, but I'll give you a seventh rounder and we'll make that the difference. So here you go, Seattle. I'll give you a seventh rounder on top of that, and Tolvanen, welcome to the team. But that's not going to be the only deal, because I think it would make sense if Cale Makar had a defensive partner, and that defensive partner is going to be coming from the New York Rangers. However, in order to make this trade, we're definitely going to have to give up a lot more, but we're going to be getting Andrei Miller, and I think that's going to help this team a ton. So I think in order to make this trade, it's got to start with 2 second-round picks, and ideally, I don't want to do too much more than that, because we're a bad team right now. Like, we're full of 0 overall players, so trading valuable draft picks away is definitely not the move. But hey, if we can bring Andrei Miller onto the team early, I think it could be the move. So they're going to say no to this deal right here, but you know what? We got more draft picks we can work with. I'll give you a third rounder as well, and hopefully that's going to be enough to make the difference. They're going to be saying no, but we're pretty close. Hopefully a 6th round pick can make the difference. So all of these picks sent over to the New York Rangers. Can we get this done? Andrei Miller's joined the team here. Tolvanen's going to be joining the team. We're not going to see success this season, but we are going to build a pretty solid team. Now, before we even get into simulating games here, of course, Tolvanen, we got to give him an extension. Ideally, we can get him locked down for 8 years here, but 8 years at $8 million, yeah, I don't think that's the move. So we're going to be holding off with an extension with Tolvanen right now, but you know what? We're definitely going to be bringing him back to the team, no question about it. So now that we know Tolvanen doesn't want to stick around on the team, we're going to go ahead and simulate this season, and once he sees this team's success, he's going to be changing his mind. But let's be very honest with ourselves, we're probably going to be losing every single game here. So yeah, Tolvanen, you might not be changing your mind. You might actually be asking for $12 million per year, because we're going to be such a bad team. So while we simulate this season and lose the majority of the games, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 70k subs by the end of the month, and if you're part of the 69% of people that aren't subbed to the channel, I'm not going to be able to do that, so you should subscribe right now. Okay, so you've got to be kidding me. If you watched my video from a week ago, you know I am very familiar with this screen right here. Too familiar if you ask me. Why does this game constantly crash? You know what? I'm getting rid of all the 0 overall players. I'm just going to grab a bunch of guys on free agency. I'm done dealing with this absolute nonsense. Alright, so let's try this again. I picked up a bunch of players in free agency. McDavid's still here, of course. Cale Makar is still going to be here, and Vasilevskiy's still here. But now we have to retrade for Tolvanen, and we have to retrade for Andrei Miller. So let's get to doing that. So let's immediately get to trading for Tolvanen here, and it's going to be a 3rd, 4th, and 7th rounder sent over to Seattle. And then when it comes to trading for Miller, 2 second rounders, a 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounder is going to be sent over to the Rangers, and he's going to be brought to the team here. So now we got the 2 guys that we traded for earlier back on the team. Let's see what we can do. So all we're hoping for here is we can somehow make it to the trade deadline, and then we'll probably trade a guy like Jonathan Toews away, because he actually will have trade value. So you know what? The game crashing is actually going to be working out for us, because it's going to give us some better players that we can flip at the deadline. Okay, for some reason this team is playing ridiculously good. So Tolvanen, here's 8 years at $4.9 million, an absolute steal for us. But yeah, what Connor McDavid and them are doing this season makes absolutely no sense. Ah yes, the Moncton Tigers, 6th in the entire league. We picked up a bunch of free agents. We have Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, Vasilevskiy, and we're 6th in the entire league. I did not expect this team to be as good as they are. Like, granted, a lot of the players we picked up have been good, but you know who's been better? Connor McDavid, 94 points, 49 goals, 45 assists in 63 games. Cale Makar, 88 points in 63 games. Jonathan Toews, he's been great. Tolvanen's been absolutely fantastic. But you know who's been a bit disappointing? Not gonna lie, Andrei Miller, I am expecting a bit more from you. You're playing some top pairing minutes here and you only have 26 points. Like, come on, bro, step it up. Meanwhile, Vasilevskiy, I'm honestly incredibly impressed right now. 28 wins, 1 shot, a 919 to 281. How are you doing this with that team in front of you? Like, it makes no sense that the Moncton Tigers are this good, But with us being this good, I think we should make some trades. All right, so I'm looking to make a splash here. 2 first-round picks over to the Wild. We bring in Matt Boldy. We get a 3rd and 4th round pick. They're going to say no to that. I'll take the 4th rounder out. I think there's a chance that we get this deal done. Ideally, I was hoping to get some draft compensation back, but you know what? If we can bring in Matt Boldy, that's going to be good enough. I didn't want to have to go up more draft picks, but you know what? If we have to, I will. Here's a 5th and 6th rounder. I think that's going to be enough for us to get Matt Boldy. They're saying that's a bit low. Okay, we are trading every single draft pick we have for the next 2 years. We have 1 6th rounder for the next 2 years. Is this a stupid trade? Probably, because we basically have nobody returning to this team for next season. But you know what? We're going to have money to spend, and we're going to find some players to bring onto the team. So this is what our top line is going to be looking like. It's going to be McDavid, Boldy, and Tolvanen. I think in the future, Matt Boldy is probably going to move down to the 2nd line because he has a better fit there. But for now, this is the big 3 we're going to be rocking. I shouldn't say big 3. We actually have a big 6 here. That's going to include Andrei Miller. That's including Cale Makar. And of course, the best goaltender in the league, Andrei Vasilevskiy. Okay, we got to be completely honest here. This is a massive surprise. 4th in the entire league, a 45, 26, and 11 record. How does this even happen? We just took everyone in free agency that none of these teams wanted, put them on our team, added Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, Vasilevskiy, and made a couple trades, and here we are. One of the best teams in the entire league and competing for a Stanley Cup in year number 1. There is one surprise though. Who's going to be leading the way here? It's going to be Cale Makar, not Connor McDavid. 11 goals, 104 assists for 115 points. McDavid's picking up 113 here. After the trade deadline, he was not that guy. But you know what? Tolvanen, he's been great. And Matt Boldy, I'm expecting you to have some amazing numbers. These are not amazing numbers. I was honestly expecting a lot more. Like, how are you not a point a game with this team right here? Who else is on the ice other than you? When it comes to Vasilevskiy, his numbers are looking great. Let's see if they can continue into the postseason, because this team's definitely going to have a tough matchup in the first round. We got the Buffalo Sabres. So I don't know what's going on with the Moncton Tigers. I understand we were 4th in the entire league, but this is just a complete surprise to me. We're advancing to the 2nd round, taking down the Buffalo Sabres in a 5-game series. I just can't process what's going on here. Like, how are we this good? But you know what makes even less sense than us finishing 4th in the entire league and making it to the 2nd round? The Tampa Bay Lightning making the playoffs, being the number 1 seed, and they don't have Andrei Vasilevskiy anymore. I removed him from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Cale Makar was removed from the Colorado Avalanche, and Connor McDavid removed from the Edmonton Oilers. But somehow all 3 of those teams made the playoffs, and all 3 of those teams made it to the 2nd round. That's pretty realistic. Okay, I'm sorry, but ain't no way that Tampa is absolutely lighting up Vasilevskiy, and for some reason we can't score on Tampa's goaltender. I couldn't even tell you who it is. They must have traded for a goaltender, because there's no way that Yaroslav Halak is beating us. Because yeah, that's the goaltender I gave Tampa. I just gave them one of the highest overall goaltenders in free agency, and that's who it was. So I don't know what's more unrealistic. The Tampa Bay Lightning making it all the way to the conference finals without a goaltender, or Edmonton making it to the Stanley Cup final without Connor McDavid. Like, both of those things just wouldn't happen. Shout out to the Rangers. They deserve to win. Now, this season was a massive success for the team, considering I thought we were going to be one of the worst teams in the entire league. But you know what? They stepped up when they had to. Vasilevskiy, you were all right during the postseason. We're not going to talk about that 2nd round matchup though, because you were absolutely abysmal. When it comes to the goaltender for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Jonas Johansson. That makes a lot of sense. So we have 1 pick in the draft here. That's going to be the 192nd overall. And I'm going to be selecting this player right here. Low top 6 potential, 48 overall playmaker. I have very low expectations for you, but if you turn out to be a superstar, I'd be okay with that. So the plan was to not bring anyone back here and just to let all these free agents walk. But Jonathan Toews is up to an 87 overall now. That makes absolutely no sense. So I'm going to sign him here. We're going to give him $5 million for next season, maybe $5.3 million. Ideally, he joins the team and then we trade him at the trade deadline, because I'm assuming his trade value must be a lot higher. He's going to be saying no. I don't care what it takes. He's going to be rejoining this team here. But do I actually make this deal? Because if I do, we only have $25 million to work with for cap space. We have to fill out the bottom 9 here. We need 2 defensive pairings. But you know what? We can get some assets for Jonathan Toews at the trade deadline. So yeah, I'm going to do this. I just tried to talk myself out of bringing Jonathan Toews back to the team, but then I convinced myself through talking myself out of it to bring him back to the team. So he's going to be the only player that returns here. Everyone else is walking. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with. It's going to be Teuvo Teravainen. I'm going to give him 4.9 for the next 3 and hope he accepts that deal. I am lowballing him a little bit here, but you know what? I think we'll be able to bring him to the team. I mean, Barabanov is an absolute yes, because I've seen his progression go absolutely crazy. So here's 2.5 for the next 4. Jake DeBrusk, it's a similar situation with you. I'm going to do 2.6 for the next 4. Another guy whose potential I've seen go crazy is Alex Wenberg, so I'll give him 2.5 for the next 4. And then for our main signings here, I think we're going to cap it off with Mantha. We'll do 2.7 for the next 2. I mean, bringing in a backup goaltender probably wouldn't be the end of the world here, especially if we can find one on a cheap deal. Kevin Lankinen, 1.6 million. We can do that for 2 years. So we ended up missing out on Teuvo Teravainen, which really isn't a big surprise. At the end of the day, I did lowball him a little bit. If I gave him something that he was actually worth, he probably would have signed to the team. But you know what? It's just the way she goes. We're we're going to find some other players here that can play some bottom 6 minutes and develop into great players. Teddy Bluger, you can definitely be one of them. Here's 1.1 for the next 2. Like, I'm not expecting any of these guys right here to be superstars, but I am expecting them to play their role. Vasilevskiy, 2.3 for the next 2. Whenever I bring Sam Steele onto the team, he can always fit on the bottom 6, so that's what I'm looking for today. So here's 1.7 for the next 2. Boquist, I believe in you, and we're going to find some hidden potential, so here's $1 million for the next 3. Dakota Joshua, this is an absolute no-brainer. We're going to do 1.7 for the next 3. So it probably wouldn't hurt if we gave some defensemen a couple deals here. So Shillington, here's 3.2 for the next 3. And then with Travis Dermott, I can do 1.75 for the next 3. So we've made a ton of deals so far, but we're about to make a big splash right now. It's going to be Tyler Toffoli, $9 million for next season. Ideally, he signs to the team, and then we can trade him away at the deadline. Okay, like half of the guys that we gave deals to aren't coming to the team, even though I gave them exactly what they were looking for. So yeah, the team's going to struggle, and we don't have our first round pick. So whatever happens, happens here. Because now that I'm looking at what's available in free agency, we are cooked. Yeah, we have 16 players under contract. We're in trouble. Now, before we even get into this season, you already know Andrei Miller has to come back here, so we're giving him $6 million for the next 8 years. He was involved in a massive trade we made last season, so I can't just be trading for him and then letting him walk. We got to make sure he sticks on this team long term. So I think on paper, the team's a bit better than last season. Connor McDavid, Matt Boldy, Tolvanen. We're going to see Tyler Toffoli, Alex Wenberg, Anthony Mantha here. The bottom 6 is in a better spot. The defense is also in a better spot here. I think the overalls might be a bit lower, but you know what? The overall boosts are going to be helping us a ton. A +1 on the third pairing, +3 on the second and the first. And when it comes to our goaltender, we already know who that is. It's Andrei Vasilevskiy. Backing him up is Kevin Lankinen. I think this team's going to be finishing at the top of the league once again. But then again, like last season, we should not have been at the top of the league. We were a massive surprise to absolutely everyone. The only thing that can't happen here is we have a disappointing season because we don't own that first round pick. We just have to pray for an absolute miracle here. Now just look at the Moncton Tigers here. Second in the entire league, a 42-18-4 record. But the best part about this season, we're currently the best defensive team in the entire league. Yeah, you saw our defensive core that basically only had one pairing. That's the best defensive team in the entire league. Like, we're really showing out here. Cale Makar, incredible. Connor McDavid, incredible. Tyler Toffoli, incredible. Everyone here has been absolutely phenomenal so far, and we're going to keep on getting better. Vasilevskiy, 37 wins, 4 shots, a 919, a 257. I never would have expected this if I'm being completely honest. Like, the Moncton Tigers have really been one of the best teams the past 2 seasons, and we're about to get better here. We got a couple draft picks we can work with, and I'm certainly trading them away. Do we pick up Zach Hyman? Could be the move. Alright, so I don't think we've traded enough first round picks, so we're going to be shipping another one out here. Tyler Toffoli had 50% retained and a first round pick over to the Dallas Stars. Logan Stankoven and Nyquist, 2 amazing pieces for our team. Probably didn't have to give up a first round pick, but you know what? We got the 2 players that I desperately wanted. But we're not done yet because we still have another guy we have to trade here. That's Jonathan Toews. So which team wants Jonathan Toews but also has cap space? The Vegas Golden Knights? Yeah, we can make it happen. They do not have cap space. What are they talking about? So this is going to be in the next trade we do here. It's going to be Jonathan Toews, and I was going to trade a second, but instead it's going to be a 3rd rounder, and we're picking up Thomas Novak, an absolute legend of the channel. If you know, you know. This guy always turns into an absolute superstar, so that's what we're hoping for today. They're going to be saying no to that. Do I just give up the 2nd round pick and make it simpler? I think that might be the play. So Jonathan Toews in a second over to the Preds. They're actually going to be saying no to that as well. Okay, we're giving up way too many draft picks. At this point, it's just going to be a non-drafting video. But you know what? I'm okay with not drafting if we're winning Stanley Cups. They're still saying no to that. Maybe a 5th round pick can be the difference. I'll send that over. They're still saying no. You know what? I'm giving you a 6th and 7th round pick. Am I giving up way too much? Absolutely. But we're bringing in Thomas Novak, and we're going to be all right here. So with the season finishing up here, we definitely didn't have a strong finish to the season, dropping to 3rd in the standings, a 49-29-4 record. But you know what? We did get rid of Jonathan Toews, and he was a key part to the team. We did get rid of Tyler Toffoli, but we brought in 3 really good players that are going to be sticking on this team long term, and they have great fits here, so that trade was definitely worth it for the future of this team. Because I don't want to make a trade that's just going to be helping us this season. I want it to help us this season, next season, the season after. I'm worried about the future of this team. And you know what? The future's looking bright with Cale Makar and Connor McDavid both having great seasons, but they did take a couple steps back. Meanwhile, Andrei Vasilevskiy, 41 wins, 4 shots, a 914 to 278. As long as your numbers continue to look like this, we can always compete in the postseason, and that's where we're headed right now. We're guaranteed the 2nd round because we're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 1st. You already know what this is about. We're going to take down Toronto real quick. Now, this has always been my biggest nightmare. Losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 1st round, or we make a 3-0 series comeback and force Game 7 here. That's what I was looking for. So we were down 3-0 in the series. Now we have the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 7. What's going to be happening? We're exchanging goals in the 1st period. Matt Boldy's picking up a goal in the 2nd. Can we close it out here? Yes, we are. We're making the 3-0 series comeback. Toronto's falling in the 1st round. Ain't no way that just happened. Like, you really couldn't have written a better script. A 3-0 series comeback against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, perfect way to end it. Now, why does it seem like literally even in the simulation the Toronto Maple Leafs can't get out of the first round? This team's just built for failure. But you know what, we gotta move on. We got the momentum, winning 4 straight games. We have the Red Wings up next. They might be a great team, but so is Moncton. So the Moncton Tigers might be unstoppable. We have a 3-1 series against the Detroit Red Wings. We got all the momentum. We're off to the conference finals. This team's not looking to slow down anytime soon. So we've reached the conference finals for the first time in this video. It's the Moncton Tigers taking on the New Jersey Devils. Out of the last 9 games Moncton's been involved in, they've won 8 of them. There's no team hotter than the Moncton Tigers right now. So we've exchanged games with the New Jersey Devils. The series is tied heading into game number 5 here. And in game number 5, the Moncton Tigers are going to be showing up. Can we show up in game number 6 to send us to the Stanley Cup final? It doesn't look like it. We need game 7. But there's one thing that's a known fact about the Moncton Tigers. When push comes to shove, this team's going to show up when it matters most. Are we going to be picking up any goals in the second period? Yes, we are. Tolvan's going to be picking up ones, but so is Robbie Fabry. And I thought the third period would be deciding this game, but that's actually not the case. We're going to need overtime. Game 7, overtime, the conference finals. Who is going to be off to the Stanley Cup final? It looks like it's going to be the New Jersey Devils. Definitely not what I wanted to see. So what makes this season even worse is we're going to see the New Jersey Devils go on to win the Stanley Cup. That should have been us. The Moncton Tigers should have been hoisting a Stanley Cup this season. Cale Makar, you're going to lead the way here. Connor McDavid, you let me down, plain and simple. McDavid, you need to be better in the postseason. I never want to see this again. Under a point a game, but you only had 18 points. You should be averaging 2 points per game. You should have 38 points right now. You let me down. Cale Makar, he did everything he possibly could, but McDavid didn't step it up when it mattered. Vasilevskiy, you were great getting us all the way to game 7 of the conference finals, but this team just didn't show up when it mattered, plain and simple. Now, we don't have to spend too much time with the draft here because we have no draft picks to work with, so let's immediately simulate this. We're not going to be bringing any good prospects to the team, and that's probably going to hurt this team in the long run because we need assets to trade away. And on top of not doing too much in the draft, we're not doing really anything during the re-sign phase. We have $15 million to work with. We got to make sure that we're smart with that money. But on top of that, we also have to give some extensions out, and one of those guys that needs an extension, Connor McDavid. The other guy, Logan Stankoven, and they're 2 key pieces of this team. So we know Connor McDavid needs an extension, and we know Logan Stankoven needs one, but we got to lock Connor McDavid down first, and this is going to be an absolute steal. So Connor McDavid, you're going to be sticking on the Oilers, but on a cheaper deal. We're looking at 10.5 for the next 8. And when it comes to Logan Stankoven, we're going to be looking at 8.8 million for the next 8. So 2 great deals for 2 great players, and we still got money to work with. So we have to round out our top 6 here. Like, we need 6 guys that we can rely on game in and game out, and I think that final player is also going to come from the Dallas Stars. We already got Logan Stankoven, but 87 overall Mason Marchment, I think you're the missing piece for this team. I'm giving up a 2nd rounder and a 3rd rounder. More than likely it's going to be 2 3rd round picks here, but if we can bring Mason Marchment to the team, that's going to be the difference maker for us. They're going to be saying yes to this deal. Let's make sure we can lock him down long term, though. We got to give him an extension. And I'm assuming Mason Marchment's not going to do us any solids. He's probably going to be looking for a bag, but you know what? This isn't as bad as I was thinking. So Mason Marchment, here's $5.6 million for the next 5 years. Now let's go fill out that bottom 6. Now to bring back Mason Marchment, I think we do have to clear up a bit of cap space, but we're really not clearing up that much in a move like this. We're going to bring in Ryan Lindgren, just under $5 million. So I think we're only clearing up about $700K in this deal, maybe even less than that. So we got to sign a couple guys to 1-year deals. I'm looking at Ruda, $2.1 million for next season. You can play some 3rd pairing minutes for us. Kasperi Kapanen would be a good player. Here's 1.8 for next season. Jesper Fast could be another great player, so here's 1.6 for next season. And then we'll finish off with Carcone here. We're looking at 1.7 for next season. But that's actually not finishing it off because we do need 1 more defenseman. And you know what? We got a lot of cap space here. So Neil Pionk, where can you fit on this team? It doesn't really matter where you can fit because you're going to be joining this team. I'll give you $7 million for next season. That's more than what you're looking for. It's a lot more than what you're looking for, but hey, we're looking to win a Stanley Cup here and we're going to need you on this team. Okay, Neil Pionk, you're doing me dirty by not signing that deal. So now we have to go back into free agency, and you know what? We just lost out on a bunch of the best defensemen. So we got to bring in Lindell, and he's got to be the replacement. We're looking at 6.2. So we have an elite top 6 here. Connor McDavid, Stankoven, Matt Boldy, Mason Marchment, Alex Wenberg, Tolvanen. The bottom 6, they play good defense here. They can score when they have to. I know for a fact this team's going to be at the top of the league, especially with a defense like this. Keandre Miller, Cale Makar, Lundqvist, Ryan Lindgren. We got Lindell. We got Juan Ruda. They're going to be holding it down. And you know who else is going to hold it down for us? Andrei Vasilevskiy. He does it time and time again here. But you know what? We improved the goal scoring on this team. That's definitely been one of the weaknesses for this team. And I think we're finally going to have an answer for all those teams that have taken us out in the postseason, especially the New Jersey Devils. We're going to get our revenge. So the Moncton Tigers, of course, are looking absolutely phenomenal here, but I don't care about the record. Look at that offense. The best in the entire league, almost 4 goals per game. That's what we've been missing. Our defense is absolutely abysmal though. We are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. But you know what? The team that's currently number 1 in the entire league also has one of the worst defenses. So you know what? Maybe defense doesn't matter anymore. No, but real talk, we got to fix that defense. That was absolutely abysmal what I just looked at. McDavid's great, Makar is great, Mason Marchman's great. The team's great, but we're not great defensively. That has to change. Vasilevskiy, I already knew your numbers were going to be bad. I can't put this on you. So we know what we have to fix here. Let's trade for a defensive defenseman. I don't know who it's going to be, but we're bringing in somebody to help the defense. So after some consideration, I actually don't think we're going to make a trade here. And here's my reasoning for that. The Carolina Hurricanes have one of the worst defenses in the entire league right now, but yet they're first in the entire league. So defense means absolutely nothing this season. It's all about scoring goals, and that's one thing that this team is really good at. So when the playoffs come around, we just have to outscore our opponent. That's the way we're going to win a Stanley Cup here. I mean, we also have a 40-24-2 record. So yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm not too concerned with the Moncton Tigers. They might have dropped to 5th in the entire league, and the offense might have slowed up a little bit, but the defense was better after the trade deadline, and that was really the only issue with this team. Because outside of our defense looking bad, this team's really good. Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, of course, Vasilevskiy's our goaltender. Every player I've gone ahead and traded for is looking absolutely phenomenal right now, and that's what I'm expecting from them. Vasilevskiy's numbers obviously aren't going to be looking good, but I don't really care about the regular season numbers. I care about the postseason numbers. We know Vasilevskiy can step up, and I know for a fact we can beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. We get to take them on again in the first round. So we've exchanged games with the Toronto Maple Leafs so far, but you already know we're not going to be losing to this team in the first round. Yeah, we're losing game 5, but we're just going to win game 6 and game 7, and we're going to move on to the second round. Told you it was going to happen. We're off to game 7. Like, there's no way that you actually think we're going to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs here. We're exchanging goals in the first period, and the second period, who would have saw this one coming? We're going to be scoring 2. We have a 3-1 lead, and we're going to hold on to that lead, winning 5-1. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. You don't lose to them. No, at this point, it's actually funny, though. Like, the Toronto Maple Leafs just can't get out of the first round. Now, the only issue with playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round is you're not really prepared for the second round. Like, we have to go from the Toronto Maple Leafs to one of the best teams in the entire league in the Florida Panthers. We might not be prepared for them. Now, after dropping the first 2 games to the Florida Panthers, we learned our lesson, and now we know how to compete with this team. Game 5 is going to be a big one. We're going to be stealing that one away. Can we steal 4 straight games from the Florida Panthers? Yes, we can, and now we're back in the conference finals. So we've reached the conference finals yet again, but we're going to have a new team to take on. It looks like it's going to be the New York Rangers. You already know that they're going to be an elite team, but you know who else is elite? Moncton. These guys know how to step it up in the postseason, and that's what we're looking to do heading into this next matchup. We got to take it up another level. And unfortunately, the Moncton Tigers just aren't going to have an answer for the New York Rangers here. Unless we complete a massive comeback here, are we going to make a 3-1 series comeback and make it to the Stanley Cup final? Well, we're about to find that out. We're off to game 7. Just because this team has their back against the wall doesn't mean they're not going to be fighting back. The first period is going to be a big one, and we're going to be picking up 2 goals compared to the Rangers 1. We're moving into the second period, but it's going to be a massive collapse for us. We're now trailing in the game. We have to have a massive third period if we're looking to make it to the Stanley Cup final. And is that going to be happening here? It doesn't look like it. We're actually going to be allowing more goals, and we're losing this one 5-2. So for the second year in a row, game 7 of the conference finals, we're going to be falling, and the Rangers, they're probably going to go on to win the Stanley Cup. That should have been the Moncton Tigers. And who would have saw this one coming? The Rangers, Stanley Cup champions. Moncton should have won back-to-back now, but for some reason, we just can't get out of that Eastern Conference. Like, it just breaks my heart when I see these guys perform so well. Connor McDavid, 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points. Matt Boldy, 23 points. Cale Makar, 18. Stan Coven, 17. Mason Marchman, 15. Like, they performed. The goaltending, it performed. Vasilevskiy, a 910, a 283. There is nothing more that this team could have done. When Game 7 of the conference finals came around, we just didn't know how to take it up another step. But you know what? A majority of the core is coming back here. We're going to make sure that we're looking even better for next season. So we got a couple picks in this upcoming draft, so let's see what we can cook up here. Okay, I completely forgot that we only have 2 picks in this upcoming draft. So yeah, we got a whole lot of nothing. For some reason, I thought we had more than 2 picks, but no, we're not cooking up anything in the draft here. Are we going to cook up anything during the re-sign phase? Probably not, because I can't really think of anyone that I actually want to bring back to this team here. I mean, Kasperi Kapanen, I'll pass. Lindell, I'm going to pass on that. Mantha, Carcone, Jesper Fast, I think I'm going to pass upon all you guys. Even a guy like Teddy Beluga, although he was playing some 4th line minutes for us, I'm looking for somebody that can play a bit better defense. Nothing against him. I mean, he's got 3 stars in defense, but I'm looking for at least 4. I mean, I will do this extension right here. Kevin Lankinen, 900k for the next 3. Don't mind if I do. So we are going to have to give out some extensions here, and the first guy we got to give a deal to is going to be Cale Makar. There's no question about that, but he's not going to be saving us any money here. We're looking at an absolute bag for him. So this is what Cale Makar's deal is going to be looking like for the next 8 years. We're going to give him $13.4 6.4 million. Now Novak, I think I'm gonna have to trade you away here because you're probably gonna want to bag 6.2 million for the next 6 years, or up to an 87 overall. But you know what? I really want to win a Stanley Cup this season. We're just riding your contract out. Unless I can trade you for a young rookie and then sign him to an incredible deal, but I think we might be holding on to you. So I think we actually are gonna trade Novak here, even though I just said I was gonna keep him on the team. He's an 87 overall with an X factor, but you know what? We could bring on Seth Jarvis. He's an 87 overall as well. He's got an X factor, but he's locked down for the next 3 years at 5.2 million. If we want to get a player similar to Novak in free agency, you're looking at $7 million. So I'd rather just get Seth Jarvis right now. So here's a 6th and 7th rounder for the year 2028, and I think that should be enough to get Seth Jarvis. We actually might have to throw a 3rd round pick in this deal. So here's our 2028 3rd round pick, and that should be enough for Seth Jarvis. Are they really saying no to this? Okay, I don't want to do multiple 7th round picks, but I think we're gonna have to here. Here's the 1 7th rounder. Is it really gonna take 2? Not gonna lie, Carolina's low-key finessing here. Actually, we're just gonna circle back on a deal like this. So I'm going to try something like this. Novak over to the Blackhawks, and we're going to get 2 2nd round picks. Now those 2 2nd round picks are going to be flipped over to the Carolina Hurricanes, and we're going to get Seth Jarvis. They're going to say no to this deal, but we're going to find a way to get it done. It's really not going to take us too much more. Well, I hope it doesn't take us too much more. Here's a 2028 7th round pick. Hopefully that's the difference. They're saying no. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take in order for us to get this deal done, but I think it's going to be more than I thought. Here's a 4th round pick. Hopefully that's the difference. I think we're giving up a 3rd as well. So it's going to be 2 seconds and a 3rd round pick over to the Carolina Hurricanes in order to get Seth Jarvis. We have to overpay in order to get him. There's no way around it. There we go. A 7th rounder is going to make the difference. Seth Jarvis, welcome to the team. So what we really need is a playmaker for that bottom 6. So we're just going to keep on taking players away from the Dallas Stars, and the next guy is going to be Maverick Bourque. He's going to be a good playmaker for our bottom 6 here. Ideally, he can fit on the 3rd line, but I think he's probably going to be playing some 4th line minutes for us. They're going to say no to 2 4th rounders and Barabanov, but what if I give you a 5th rounder as well? They're still saying no to that. How about I give you a 7th rounder? Like, I'm really just giving you the scraps for this man right here, but we're still going to find a way to get it done. Now, because I only have 16 players under contract right now, we're projected to be one of the worst teams in the entire NHL. So with us being projected to be so bad, we can secure a guy like Cale Makar for our 1st round pick. They think right now that 1st round pick is going to be 1st overall, but it's probably not. It's probably going to end up being 20th or something. So yeah, we're going to trade a couple picks away, and we're going to be picking up Cale Makar here. Hopefully a 5th round pick can be the difference. They're going to say no to that, but you know what? Here's a 6th rounder, and just like that, we got Cale Makar. He's under his rookie deal. He's going to be a great asset for this team. So we got to pick up a couple players in free agency, and we're just going to do some 1-year deals. Jeremy Lauzon, here's 2.3 million for next season. Chatfield, you'd be another great defenseman for us, so here's 2.9 for next season. Okay, I did not realize it, but Carcone's actually looking for a 2-way contract. So yeah, how about we do 3 years at $1 million, and you can come rejoin this team. Like, that's an absolute steal. Another guy that's always great for the bottom 6 is Noah Gregor, so here's 1.1 for the next 3 years. And then I wouldn't mind having another forward for our bottom 6, and that's going to be Klim Kostin. Here's 1.7 for the next 2. But let's just do one more signing before we get into next season. That's going to be Luke Kunin. I'll do 1.6 for next season. Those should be the only free agent signings we do here, and this team's going to be ready to compete, and we're going to get past the conference finals. We're going to win a Stanley Cup. So this has to be the year that we finally win a Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid, Logan Stankoven, Matt Boldy, Mason Marchment, who's up to an 89 overall, Alex Wenberg an 86, Tolvanen an 86. This forward core is phenomenal. The bottom 6 is even better than it's ever been. The defense, that's even better than it's ever been. Andrei Miller, Cale Makar, Lundqvist, Ryan Lindgren, no weaknesses here. However, there is one very concerning thing. Vasilevskiy has dropped to a 90 overall. 32 years old. He doesn't have too many years left. We got to make sure that we can get all 3 of these guys at least 1 Stanley Cup. We should have 2 right now, but you know what? That's just not the case, and we got to live with it. But also, now that I've noticed Lundqvist is up to an 85 overall, I probably should try to keep him on this team long term. However, that's not going to be the case. We only have $3 million in cap space. So yeah, Lundqvist, you're not coming back next season. Okay, somebody has to explain to me how this is Moncton's worst season. This is the best team we've ever had, but this is also the worst we've ever performed. How does that make any sense? Like, obviously, we're going to be a great offensive team. There's no questions about that. And we're even a pretty solid defensive team. So what's really holding us back here? Like, I truly believe that the Moncton Tigers right now should be first in the entire league. Like, the top guys are definitely performing here. Makar and McDavid, they're over a point a game. Matt Boldy, he's a point a game exactly. Seth Jarvis, for playing 3rd line minutes, you're looking fantastic. But maybe age has finally caught up to Vasilevskiy. Maybe he's just not that guy anymore. I need you to prove me wrong. We got to get a Stanley Cup with you. Now, I think what we have to do is try to trade for somebody on the rookie deal that can play some bottom 6 minutes for us, and then ideally we can re-sign them for a really cheap contract. So we got a first round pick we can work with here. We don't have too much time left. We better use it. So he might not be on his entry level contract, but he's still on a pretty cheap deal. Robby Fabbri, you're an 86 overall. You could help the bottom 6 here. I'm willing to give up our first round pick. You're going to be saying no to that. Ideally, this 6th rounder would be enough to get this deal done. If we have to use the 2nd rounder, I will, but I'm going to want some assets back. So if I'm giving you that 2nd round pick, you got to give me at least a 3rd rounder back. I think that's only fair. So hopefully this package is going to be enough to get it done. They're going to be saying, no, I'll take out that 3rd rounder. Robby Fabbri, you're joined the team. Let's see what we can cook up. So we brought in Robby Fabbri, and unfortunately, he actually doesn't fit on the bottom 6, even though my scouts told me he did. Never rely on those guys, but you know what? We're actually in a pretty good spot here. He's going to play some 4th line minutes at an 86 overall. That's certainly not going to make us worse. However, the one thing that I haven't been happy about when it comes to the Moncton Tigers is for some reason, after the trade deadline, every single year, we always seem to not perform very well. That's got to change right now. We got to finish with 50 wins. So I'm happy to say we're going to see a 50-win season for the Moncton Tigers. We really stepped it up after the trade deadline. A 50-27-5 record. We're here to stay, and we're here to perform. Like, please, please, please get through the conference finals. We cannot be folding every single season in the conference finals. This team is built to win games, and that's what we've done so far. Andrei Vasilevskiy, you've been stopping the puck, and you've been recording wins. That's what you're here to do. But when it comes to the conference finals, and when it comes to Game 7 of the conference finals, you can't fold. You have to win that game. But first, we got to make it to the conference finals. We got the Florida Panthers in the first round. That certainly won't be easy for us. Okay, never mind. That was incredibly easy. We swept the Florida Panthers, and we absolutely destroyed them in every game. So yeah, we're off to the second round. Well, who are we going to match up against in the second round? The Toronto Maple Leafs. They swept the Buffalo Sabres. No way the Buffalo Sabres just got swept in the first round to the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is so incredibly embarrassing. But Toronto, I am sad to say that your historic run ends right now. Moncton's going to take you out in the second round. It's just the way it has to be. So Toronto, what happened? You're about to be eliminated in the second round here. You got your hopes pretty high as long as we don't blow a 3-1 series lead. Okay, why did I start talking? But you know what? It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. We don't lose to them. I will say, though, if we lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs here, I'm going to rip one player in particular. And that player so far has somewhat performed. He just picked up a goal here. As long as we can close this out, we're going to be looking good. Cale Makar, you're the hero. Now, the reason I was about to start ripping on Connor McDavid is in the first 4 games of the postseason, he had 8 goals. So he averaged 2 goals per game in the first round. In a 7-game series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, this man picked up 2 goals. He was basically non-existent this series. But you know what? We're luckily getting through, and now we're in the conference finals, a place we've been a handful of times. And you know what? We got all the momentum. We got the Boston Bruins here in the conference finals. Moncton's got to keep on rolling. We can't stop to look at the playoff bracket. We just have to beat Boston here. Okay, we're about to get swept. We were really down 3-0 in this series, and now we have to fight all the way back. We lost in the conference finals yet again. 3 straight years. You can't tell me the team's just not good enough, because we're making to the conference finals every single year, but they just don't show up here. I don't know what it is about this team, but I just want to keep running it back with the same core. We are clearly a good team here, but are we a good team if we can't step it up when it matters most? We're going to be falling in the conference finals. I don't know how to feel about the Moncton Tigers. We might just go down as one of the biggest what ifs of all time. And the Boston Bruins win the Stanley Cup. So the team from the Eastern Conference that beats the Moncton Tigers wins the Stanley Cup. That should be 3 straight cups for us. But nope, we have 0. Now I low-key want to put a bit of blame on Connor McDavid, because this man played in 16 games during the playoffs. In the first 4 games of the postseason, he had 8 goals. In the next 8 games after that, he only recorded 4 goals. He was just non-existent after that first round. He absolutely dominated the Florida Panthers, but couldn't do much outside of that. Our top 6 here is absolutely incredible, including Seth Jarvis here on the 3rd line. But you know what, Logan Stankoven, you have to be better. There's no question about it. The goaltending from Vasilevskiy, it was good once again here. I just don't know what it is about this team. Vasilevsky's another year older. He was a 92 overall for the postseason run, but he's going to be dropping probably down to an 88 overall. Time's running out for us to win, and we have to do it fast. So we only had 1 pick in the draft here, but that doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is this team getting out of the conference finals. It is beyond ridiculous at this point. Like, the fact that this team for some reason just can't make it to the Stanley Cup final is mind-boggling to me. Like, we're an incredible team here. We've made it to the conference finals 3 years in a row. What could I possibly do that's going to make this team significantly better? I couldn't tell you. With that being said, we don't really have that much cap space to work with, so Lundqvist, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA, but then we're going to have to trade you away. And then with everyone else here, unfortunately, you're all going to have to walk. We just don't have the money. So we've got through the re-sign phase, but now we got to start working on Andrei Vasilevskiy extension. We're going to do something like this, 6.8 for the next 4 years. You're still 92 overall. You're still a fantastic goaltender, so of course we have to keep you on this team. Robbie Fabry, we're not going to be bringing you back. Wenberg, I'm actually not too sure about bringing you back either. There's going to be a handful of changes to this team heading into next season. Okay, yeah, so you remember how I said there was going to be a handful of changes heading into next season? I take it all back. We don't have money to make changes, so I don't know what I was talking about. But Lundqvist, you are going to get traded, and ideally we can bring in a cheap defenseman. Okay, so I'm making a deal with the St. Louis Blues in order to pick up Zane Parekh, but I just have to show you this. Brandon Saad got an extension from the St. Louis Blues. What do you think that Brandon Saad is getting paid? So he had 73 points this season, 73 here, 80 here. He's been a fantastic player, but we have to remember he's picking up on average 70, 80 points. He's 34 years old. Oh, 10.7 million. Yeah, that seems to make sense. 10.7 million for Brandon Saad. That is absurd. Yeah, but as I said, I'm picking up Zane Parekh. He's going to be a great defenseman for us. He's under contract for the next 2 years on his entry-level deal. He's definitely going to fit on the team here. They're going to be saying no to that. Do I just give them a 7th round pick in order for us to get that 4th? The 4th rounder is not super valuable, but neither is the 7th rounder. All that matters is we brought in another defenseman because we still have to make some more moves here. All right, now this is a bit of a riskier deal, but Lyubushkin, I'm going to give you 1.35 million for the next 2 years here, and we're just going to pray that you don't decline a ton. And then the other player we'll bring in on a multi-year deal is going to be Vakanainen. I'll give him 1.4 for the next 2. We're going to have 3 really good defensemen on this team, but the other 3 are going to be a bit weak. We're probably below league average when it comes to that, but you know what? We're above league average when it comes to scoring, and that's what really matters. So we got to get a massive trade done here, and if we're able to pull this off, then we'll definitely win a Stanley Cup. I shouldn't say we'll definitely win a Stanley Cup. We'll definitely make it out of the conference finals, because yeah, for some reason we can't get past that. Wenberg, a 1st and 2nd rounder, over to the New Jersey Devils. We're bringing in Gavin McKenna. He's going to be our 2nd line playmaker. He's going to be elite for us. We're also picking up 2 3rd rounders in this deal. That's huge. They're going to be saying no to that. I'll take out one of the 3rd rounders. I just want to get this deal done, so I'm okay with getting no draft compensation. I just want Gavin McKenna. So I think we have a majority of the guys locked down, like Robbie Fabry. I'm okay with letting you walk. Klim Kostin, you can walk. Ryan Lindgren, I would like to keep you on this team. What are we going to be looking at? We can get this done. So here's 4.7 for the next 3 years. We're going to have Ryan Lindgren on the team long term. Plain and simple, we just have to be better during the postseason. Now we probably have only 2 more seasons left to win a Stanley Cup, because after that, Vasilevskiy is going to have a really quick decline. Connor McDavid, Matt Boldy, Stankoven, Tolvanen, Gavin McKenna, Mason Marchman. The bottom 6 is incredible here. Like, look at this 3rd line. We have 0 weaknesses when it comes to the forward core. The defense is pretty strong here. Keandre Miller, Cale Makar. We got Zane Parekh, Ryan Lindgren. Yeah, the 3rd pairing is a bit weak, but they're getting a +1 boost. 2 great defensive defensemen. We're going to be in a good spot. Vasilevskiy, 92 overall. You're 33 years old. It's only a matter of time before you have a quick decline. The fact that you went from a 90 to a 92 this season, that just tells me that you really want one more Stanley Cup. The fact that your overall jump from 32 years old to 33, that tells me you're not ready to hang them up yet. So we do have a bit of cap space to work with, and we do have a couple picks to work with, so we're going to simulate up to the trade deadline and then make some moves. What are those moves going to be? I have no clue yet, but we're probably going to try to pick up a 3rd pairing defenseman. Now I can't really recall, but have we ever been 1st in the entire league at the trade deadline? We've been 2nd a couple times, we've been 4th, we've been 6th, but I don't recall if we've ever been 1st. We're 2nd here with a 42-18-3 record. Why do I just feel like the Moncton Tigers are constantly disappointing, even though they have a very good record? Like, McDavid's got 73 points here. Obviously, you know the offense is going to be great. The defense is going to be great as well. The goaltending is going to be great. Everything about this team is going to be great. But for some reason, I just feel like it's a bit of a disappointment. I don't know if I'm just setting very unrealistic expectations, but for some reason, something about this team just always seems to disappoint me. So this is going to be the one trade that we're making here. Samuel Bolduc, we're going to be picking you up from the New York Islanders. You're an 83 overall that can fit on the 3rd pairing. We have a great defensive defenseman there already in Vakanainen, but you know what? You're a bit better. You're a 4 overall jump, so that's definitely going to be the lone move we make here. We're going to be acquiring you. I tried to add a 4th round pick, and I ended up just offering the exact same deal. Here's St. Louis's 4th rounder and Samuel Bolduc. Welcome to the team. It's time for us to go make some noise. Yes, you remember how I went on that big rant about us never finishing 1st in the entire league? Here we are, a 54-23 5-win season, this is the year we win the Stanley Cup. We're the best in the entire league. Cale Makar is incredible. McDavid's incredible. Tovan's incredible. Everyone here is incredible. Vasilevskiy's having a career season at 916 and 257. This has to be the year we win a Stanley Cup. But you know what's actually going to happen? We're somehow going to lose in the first round. I can see it happening. So here we go. The Moncton Tigers taking on the Florida Panthers. Are we going to be losing? We drop game 1. Of course, this team immediately loses game 1. But you know what? We've won 3 straight after that. Can we make it 4 straight? No, we can't. I just don't want to go to game 7 against the Florida Panthers. We're going to be winning that one 7-4, so at least we're not losing in the first round. So we've moved on to the second round, and now it's time for us to get our revenge. We have the Boston Bruins. I want to smoke this team in a 4-game series. I want to win every game 10-0. We got a chip on our shoulder, and we're looking to get revenge. So things are looking great for the Moncton Tigers. We have a 3-1 series lead on the Boston Bruins, so more than likely we're going to be advancing to the conference finals. I spoke too soon, didn't I? Okay, never mind. We're going to be all right here. We're winning game 6 4-2, but now we have our biggest challenge in front of us, winning 4 games in the conference finals, and we got to take on the New York Islanders. Now, whatever you do, do not lose to the New York Islanders here. We're winning game 1. We won game 2. We swept the Islanders. We're about to make it to the Stanley Cup final here. It's taken years and years to get to this point, but it's finally happened for the Moncton Tigers. Here we go, the Stanley Cup final. We're taking on the Edmonton Oilers. They don't have Connor McDavid, and somehow they're able to take games away from us. But you know what? The offense is flying right now. Can we close it out? No, we can't. Close it out in game 6. We're not going to game 7. 6 more goals here. The Moncton Tigers have finally done it. This took way too long. We should have 4 Stanley Cups right now. But you know what? It doesn't matter. This team showed up when it mattered most for once. Like, seriously, this team never shows up when it matters, but they finally did. And Connor McDavid, of course, had to be the guy. 17 goals, 13 assists, 30 points. Matt Boldy was great. Cale Makar, 5 goals, 20 assists. He's got 25 points. Tovanin was incredible. And you know who else was incredible? This man had to lead us to greatness. Vasilevskiy, 15 wins, 1 shutout, a 910, a 281. He's still a 92 overall. He's got a couple more years left in him. That means we have a couple more Stanley Cups to win. So we were pretty good. And Samuel Bolduc, I wouldn't mind keeping you around for one more year here, so I'm going to give you a 1-year deal at 4.4 million. Actually, make that 4.3 million. You're a great defenseman for us. You helped us win a Stanley Cup. You might have been the missing piece, but Robby Fabbri, I'm not going to bring you back because I know for a fact you're going to want way too much money. I can't do 5.9 million. Klim Kostin, we might be able to bring you back. Where are you looking for? We can do 1.7 again for next season. So the only guy we're going to be losing is Robby Fabbri. We're bringing back the entire team. Now, I'm very happy that we won a Stanley Cup because it's not like we have any draft picks or prospects to work with. Once again, we're not making any selections here. We've really traded the entire future away just to win now. But you know what? It actually worked for us, and we're looking to run it back next season, and I'm hoping we can win back-to-back here. So as you know, we got a majority of the team re-signed here, so we're not going to be re-signing any players. We're going to make 1 or 2 trades, maybe a free agent signing or 2, and then we're going to get ready to run it back. So there's 3 main players here that need extensions. Seth Jarvis, I'm going to be honest, I think you're going to be the lone guy walking. You play bottom 6 minutes for this team. I can't give you 8.4 million, but I will keep you on the team if we're going for a Stanley Cup run. Kane Lindstrom, I'm on the fence about you as well. 6.5 million for a bottom 6 guy. That's probably not the move. Gavin McKenna, on the other hand, we can get something to work here. But this is a lot more expensive than I was thinking. If we can do 8.2 for the next 4, then we can get a deal done. But yeah, that's actually pretty expensive for a second line guy. Granted, you definitely performed for this team, so what can I really complain about? Maverick Bourque, it's a similar situation for you. Can I really pay a bottom 6 guy 5.2 million? That's just not the move. Zane Parek, hopefully I can get a cheap deal done with you. This is a bit expensive, but you know what? We need defensemen on the team. So here's 4.4 for the next 4, and then when it comes to all these other guys, we might be letting a handful of players walk. But you know what? I'm perfectly fine with letting players walk as long as we win a Stanley Cup. So we have $7.6 million in cap space, and we're going to sign 1 player to a 1-year deal. That's going to be Matt Japani, 7.5 for next season. He's up to an 86 overall, and he can fit on our bottom 6, so that's where he's going to play. So basically, he's going to be replacing Robby Fabbri, and we're just going to rock the exact same team, and if we have the exact same team, we should get the exact same outcome. So I truly thought that last season was going to be our one and only shot to win a Stanley Cup. The forward core is amazing here. It actually might be better than last season. The defensive core is better than last season, but what's Vasilevskiy looking like? That's the real question. Well, what if I told you he was actually better heading into this season? Bro's up to a 93 overall. He's back in his prime, back to the Vasilevskiy we know and love, and he's ready to win once again with this team. We're looking to go back to back, and as long as we have Vasilevskiy, that's going to be a possibility. No, but can somebody explain to me how Vasilevskiy declined at 32 years old old. At 33 years old, he actually jumped back up to a 92 overall, and then at 34 years old, he's back up to a 93. I'm only assuming once he actually starts his decline, he's going to go from a 93 overall down to an 85 in one season. His fall off is going to be quick and painful. But you know what? Until that happens, we're just going to keep on winning here, because that's what we do. So the Moncton Tigers are going to be finishing with a 48-17-2 record. Oh, sorry, did I say finishing with a 48-17-2 record? No, I meant that's our record at the trade deadline. We have 48 wins at the trade deadline right now. We are not changing a single thing when it comes to this team. We are perfect. Like, McDavid's got 45 goals here. Cale Makar's got 78 points. Stankoven's got 66. The goaltending's absolutely phenomenal. Vasilevskiy, maybe he's taking a slight step back, but when push comes to shove, he's the goaltender for us, and he's winning us Stanley Cups here. There's not really any trades we can do to make this team better, so I'm not going to waste any of our time here right to the end of the season. So once again, we're first in the entire league. Last time this happened for us, we saw a lot of success. A 58-20-4 record, the best offense and the best defense in the entire league. Nobody can compete with us right now. The Moncton Tigers are a step above the rest here. And why are we a step above the rest? Well, we have Connor McDavid, we have Cale Makar, and you know who else we have? Potentially the most valuable player to this team, Andrei Vasilevskiy. He's still 93 overall, 45 wins, 3 shots, a 906 and a 279. We all know what's on the line here. A chance at repeating and winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, but we got to take it game by game, and that's going to start against the Red Wings. So Detroit's been a good warm-up for the Moncton Tigers, but you know what? We still have one more game to win here, so let's close it out in game number 5 here, a 2-0 victory. So we were able to take out the Red Wings in a quick 5-game series, but now we got the Boston Bruins once again in the second round here. I will never count on the Boston Bruins because of what they did for us in that one conference finals matchup. I don't care if we're taking them on in the first round, second round, or conference finals, we got to show up to play. So this is why I said we have to be prepared for the Boston Bruins. We're exchanging games so far. They can definitely compete with the best in the league, but you know what? We are the best in the league. So let's close this series out. We're winning game number 5 here, and we're going to win back-to-back games. Never mind, we have to win game 7 instead. So we got the Moncton Tigers taking on the Boston Bruins. Keandre Miller scoring a goal during the first period. In the second, Dave Pasternak's going to be responding. It's going to be a big-time third period. Who's going to show up when it matters most? Nobody. We actually need overtime to settle this one. So who's going to be the big OT hero? Connor McDavid. I should have known. So Connor McDavid's going to be keeping this team alive, and that's going to allow us to advance to the conference finals. And in the conference finals, we're going to see the Buffalo Sabres. But the team I'm really looking forward to taking on, the St. Louis Blues and their $10 million man, Brandon Saad. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. We got to take down the Buffalo Sabres, and so far they've been able to compete with us. We've exchanged games. Game 5 is going to be a big one. We're going to steal that one 4-1. Can we steal Game 6 as well and make it to the Stanley Cup final? Yes, we can, and we got the Edmonton Oilers. So we know what's on the line here. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the Moncton Tigers. Edmonton's looking to get their revenge, while Moncton, they're looking to go back-to-back here. We won the first 2 games, but we're dropping the next 2 after that. We've dropped 3 straight here, but I'm not too concerned. I know for a fact the Moncton Tigers are going to bounce back in game number 6 here. Oh, that's a tough way to go out. 4 straight losses and we're eliminated. Yeah, I got nothing to say about that. I really thought we were going to win back-to-back Stanley Cups here, but we choked. This was a massive choke right here. Like, we really won the first 2 games and then proceeded to lose 4 straight after that. All we needed to do was win 2 more games. Connor McDavid, 20 goals in 24 games. I am sorry we let you down. This man was fantastic. Cale Makar was incredible. Logan Stankoven was incredible. Vasilevskiy, you were actually pretty solid as well. 14 wins, 2 shots, a 908 and a 287. Like, we really don't know how many years we have left here. Vasilevsky's 34 years old. He's going to start declining eventually. I mean, the fact that he hasn't declined yet at 34 years old is actually remarkable, but I can't expect this team to be this good forever, especially with all the guys we're going to be losing heading into next season. Now, you remember how I said we were going to be losing a handful of players heading into next season? That actually might not be the case here. Bork, I'm going to give you 5.1 for the next 4 years. Then when it comes to Caden Lindstrom, I can't give you an extension right now, but you're only looking for 4.6 million. We could probably clear some money up somehow. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're probably going to have an incredibly weak defensive core, but I'm going to find a way to make sure that you stay on this team. That's probably going to involve us trading one of these guys right here, and if I'm being honest, Mason Marchman, it's probably going to be you. You're 34 years old. You're going to decline pretty quick here. We got to clear up some money, and you're going to be the guy we trade away. So this is the trade I'm looking at with the Minnesota Wild. We're going to bring in Homer. He was the guy that they just selected 5th overall. He's a 79 overall defenseman. He can jump into the lineup immediately. We're also going to be picking up this guy right here, 81 overall. He can jump into the lineup, and we're going to get a 3rd round pick as well. Minnesota, for some reason, thinks they're getting an absolute steal, but you just gave up your 5th overall pick. And I'm happy to say that it eventually eventually happened. It might have taken until the year 2028 or 2029. I couldn't even tell you what year it is, but we finally drafted somebody, and it's a medium elite potential goaltender. I mean, I know for a fact a handful of years ago we drafted somebody, but this is the first medium elite potential player we've drafted. Kane Lindstrom, I'd love to keep you on the team here, and if we can do 4.2 million, that would be an absolute steal for this team. So please say yes to that extension right there. You're going to be saying no. If we have to do 4.5 for the next two, I'm not necessarily against that. I'm just going to give him exactly what he wants. Am I really going to hold out over 300k? I probably shouldn't be doing that. We got to make sure we lock down the important pieces. Everyone else on this list, we're not going to be able to afford. I mean, Carcone, what are you looking for? I could probably do this for the bottom six. I mean, you're an important piece. So here's 1.4 for the next two. Noah Gregor, we could probably lock you down for $1 million. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And then I think we'll let everyone else walk. Actually, I take that back. There's one very important player that we have to keep on this team, Kevin Lankinen. Of course, you've been here the entire run. I want to make sure you're sticking around the entire rebuild. Okay, Carcone. Okay, everyone's saying no. So yeah, Kevin Lankinen, I'll actually give you a bit more than what you're looking for. Here's 950k for next season. And Carcone, I'll give you 1.7 for next season and the year after that. I'm giving you 1.7 for the next two. Both of you guys better say yes to these deals. Okay, Kevin Lankinen, we're gonna have to let you walk here. I know you want a bigger opportunity, but you've been such a good backup for us. I really want to keep you here. So we don't have a ton of extension dollars, but the main guy that we're gonna be focusing on is gonna be Matt Boldy. He's been a crucial piece to this team. I'm gonna pay him accordingly. 8.7 for the next 8 years. Matt Boldy, welcome back. So all we have to do before heading into next season is give out some free agent deals here. We're going to start with Dakota Joshua, 1.7 for the next 2 years. He was on this team a handful of years ago, but now he's returning to help us win one more Stanley Cup. Another guy that was on this team a long time ago was Barabanov, and we're going to bring him back, 1.1 for next season. And then we need ourselves a backup goaltender, so that's going to be premium. I'm giving him 900k for the next 2 years. Now we are going to make one trade before we head into next season. That's going to be acquiring Ryder Ritchie from the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm giving up our second round pick and a third rounder from the Seattle Kraken. Ryder Ritchie's going to be a great guy for the bottom six, but more importantly, 1.6 for the next 3 years. That's a great deal. So the top players might still be here, but over the years we have definitely taken slight steps back. Looking at the bottom six in particular is definitely not what it used to be. Bork, you're an 86 overall. You're a great player, but look at who your line mates are. Ryder Ritchie and Noah Gregor, definitely a step back from what it used to be. Defensively though, I think we're still in a great spot. Keandre Miller, Cale Makar, Zane Parekh, Ryan Lindgren. The third pairing's not too bad in the slightest. And when it comes to goaltending, Vasilevskiy is still looking like one of the best goaltenders in the league, a 92 overall, but he has dropped to elite potential, so that tells me the time's running out for him. Now it's not too much of a surprise the Moncton Tigers are going to continue to sit at the top of the league. As long as Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, and Vasilevskiy are here, this team's always going to be at the top. McDavid 84 points, Cale Makar 76 points, Matt Boldy 65, Logan Stankoven, he's got 64 so far, but Vasilevskiy, we're going to see the biggest drop off in his stats. Only 31 wins, one shutout, an 898 and a 303. Vasilevskiy is not the guy he used to be. He's already dropped to a 90 overall, and if this is the last season that we have here, I mean, it probably won't be the last season. He'll probably return for next season, but just in case this is the last season, we're going all in. Okay, remember how I said I was about to go all in? Well, there's one thing that I didn't consider when it comes to going all in. We don't have cap space here. We have less than $2 million. We have 1.8 to work with, so that means we can only bring in a player that's making 1.8 million. So yeah, I don't know how we're going to do that. So I figured out how we're going to do it. A first rounder, a second rounder, Dakota Joshua, and a third rounder over to the Calgary Flames. We're picking up Backman. He's got 1 year left on his deal, an 82 overall. He can play some bottom 6 minutes, and Honzek, he can play some bottom 6 minutes as well, an 85 overall. These are the two players we're going to acquire here. They're going to say no, but you know what? I'm willing to give up 2 first round picks if I have to. And that's actually what we're going to immediately try here, because if this is potentially the last season we have in this rebuild, I want to make sure we go out with the Stanley Cup. They're going to be saying no to this deal. I'll give you a third rounder as well. Hopefully that's going to make the difference. They're still saying no. I'll do 2 third round picks. But you know what? Screw 2 third round picks. Here's a second rounder instead. Please make this happen. They're going to be saying no. What else do I have to give up here? But you know what? I just realized who we have and who's going to make the difference. Remember that medium elite potential goaltender we had? Well, I'm going to add him into this deal and we're going to get it done. So that medium elite potential goaltender is making the difference here, and now we're going to win a Stanley Cup. So this is what our forward lines are going to be looking like. Robert Backman, he's going to be playing some third line minutes. Honzek, he's going to be playing some fourth line minutes. They're going to provide a bit of depth to this team, and I think that's what we've been missing. So the Moncton Tigers had a strong finish to the season here, finished with an identical record to the Vancouver Canucks, 54-24-4. The Washington Capitals, they might have been first in the entire league, but they're complete frauds. The only reason they're ahead of us in Vancouver is because of those overtime losses. They just weren't that great of a team. I mean, granted, if you take away some of those OT losses, they're still going to be a top 5 team, but they're not as good as the Moncton Tigers, that's for sure. And why are we so good? Well, it's pretty obvious. We have Connor McDavid, we have Cale Makar, we have Andrei Vasilevskiy, and I'm very curious to see what his numbers look like to finish out the season here. He's finishing with a 900 save percentage and a goals against of exactly 3. He's still 90 overall, so that means he can still win. But I am getting concerned about Vasilevskiy's age. Like, he's going to be turning 36 heading into next season. Very rarely do you have a goaltender at 36 years old playing at an elite level. But you know what? Vasilevskiy, he's going to be that guy. We got the Ottawa Senators in the first round. Let's make some quick work of them. Now, it definitely wasn't a good sign that in our final game of the season, we lost 6-4 to Ottawa. We proceeded to lose the first 2 games of this series, but we're bouncing back. Ottawa's a great team, but I just don't think we're the team we used to be here. Are we really going to be falling in the first round? That can't be happening. We need game 7. Like, the Moncton Tigers can't be going out in the first round, that's for sure. So here we go. The Moncton Tigers taking on the Ottawa Senators. Winners off to the second round, and it looks like it's going to be us. We're absolutely dominating the Senators right now. A quick 4-1 victory. They didn't even stand a chance. So we've gone ahead and advanced to the second round here. The Moncton Tigers are now going to have to match up against the Florida Panthers, but I am very concerned with Moncton. If Ottawa was able to take us to 7 games, that just proves that we're not the team we used to be, but hey, as long as we keep on winning, I'm not going to have an issue. So the Florida Panthers are currently putting up a pretty good fight against us, but you know what? I think we're about to turn up the offense. We immediately allowed 8 goals after saying that. If we lose in this series, I think we actually might deserve it, but you know what? We got to go to game 7 first. Like, I really tried to gas up this team's offense, and then we proceed to allow 8 goals. But you know what? It's time for us to score 8 for ourselves. We're not scoring in the first period, but we're going to be responding in the second. We're picking up back-to-back goals here. Can we hold it down in the third period here? It looks like we will be. We're off to the conference finals yet again. One thing that's a guaranteed fact about the Moncton Tigers, we're going to be making it to the conference finals. So we're 4 games away from the Stanley Cup final and 8 games away from hoisting a Stanley Cup, but we can't get ahead of ourselves. We got to take this game by game. We have to take on another 4 seed in the Montreal Canadiens. Last time we took on a 4 seed, that was the Ottawa Senators, and they put up quite the fight. And if Montreal's able to get to this point, then they're definitely a good team. So the one thing that's definitely been elite for the Moncton Tigers so far in this matchup is our offense. We're constantly scoring 6 goals. However, in game number 5, it might not be 6 goals, but we are going to be advancing to the Stanley Cup final. So we're back in the Stanley Cup final once again here. The Moncton Tigers taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. We might be losing game number 1, but we're winning 3 straight after that. Can we cap this off? Not quite yet. We got to win game 5 instead because we're dropping game 4, but we're going to win game 5. What am I talking about? Game 6. I'm just yapping here. We lost game 1, won 3 straight after that, so this is game 4. Here's game 5. Here's game 6. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter. We're Stanley Cup champions. No, but I just completely lost track of what game we were on. I thought we were in game 4 when it was game 5. I thought we were in game 5 when it was game 6. But you know what? None of that matters because we won another Stanley Cup. Cale Makar was incredible. Connor McDavid was absolutely incredible. And Vasilevskiy, you were bad. Like, you were just objectively really bad here. An 895 and a 324. How did we win a Stanley Cup with those numbers? We know how we won a Stanley Cup is because this offense did nothing but score. Makar picked up 34 points, McDavid 32, Boldy 23, Gavin McKenna 22, Borks picked up 19. Like, this team did nothing but score goals here. That's the reason that we won the Stanley Cup. Not because our defense was great, not because the goaltending was great, it was strictly offense. But with us winning that Stanley Cup, the question has to be asked, is Vasilevskiy going to call it a career here? Because he is 35 years old already, he's going to be turning 36, his career might be over. But I'm happy to say Vasilevskiy has decided not to call it a career yet. He knows what's on the line for this team. He knows we have a chance at repeating. He can't walk away from the Moncton Tigers yet. So after winning that Stanley Cup, we have to bring in some good prospects here that are going to have trade value. So what do I immediately do? Draft somebody with low elite potential that has absolutely no trade value whatsoever. I'm definitely cooking here. So who am I going to select in the 4th round after learning my lesson? A low elite potential power forward. Why would I select anything other than a low elite potential player? So guess what our plan in the 5th round? To draft another low elite potential player here? That's exactly what we're going to be doing. I am setting this team up for failure. Okay, I need somebody to refresh my memory in the comments, but when I traded for Honzek here, he did not have medium elite potential. I'm pretty sure he had high top 6, but now he has medium elite potential here, so we can trade him away because he's going to have a lot of trade value. So yeah, we're definitely qualifying you as an RFA, and then we're going to be picking up some elite player for you. With the little bit of money we do have, I don't think we can really bring anyone back here because these 4 UFAs are all going to want about $2 million each. Both of these guys want $3 million, and we only have $4 million in cap space. We got to make sure that we can fill out that bottom 6. So we're not going to re-sign anyone here other than qualifying these 2 RFAs. I mean, Noah Gregor, how much do you really want? 2.5, we can't do that. Barabanov, I know we can't bring you back. Filling out our bottom 6 is going to be a bit difficult. So Kane Lindstrom, you have turned into a top 6 player for us, so I'm going to make sure that you can play on this team long term. I'm going to do 6.6 for the next 5 years. That's a really good contract for you. Meanwhile, Ryan Lindgren, I think we're going to write out your contract for this season, then let you walk. So I think for the bottom 6 from here on out, we just have to bring in low overall players. And when I say low overall players, I'm talking like 78, 79 overalls. As long as they have good fits on the bottom 6, though, we're going to be all right. So we're going to pick up Sokolov from the Columbus Blue Jackets, and it's going to cost us a 6th and 7th round pick. But we're not done there, because we're also going to pick up Chen from the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's a 78 overall sniper. I'm going to give up a 3rd and 4th rounder. They're going to say no to that, but I think a 7th will make the difference. So here's a 7th round pick for the year 2032, and that should be enough to get Chen here. They're going to be saying no to that. I'm a bit surprised. Here's a 6th rounder as well. So it's going to be a 3rd, 4th, 7th, and 6th rounder over to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we're getting Chen. So we already know that Backman's not going to be returning, so I'm going to send him over to the Seattle Kraken. We're picking up Purcell for this season. He's an 82 overall that can fit on our bottom 6 here, preferably the 4th line. He's going to be a nice addition to the team here. Now we have $4.1 million to work with. We do need to bring in a defenseman here, but when it comes to the forward core, I think we are set. So the one free agent sign we're going to be making here is going to Knizhov. We're giving him 2.8 for this upcoming season. With this final edition, the team's ready to roll, and they're looking to win back-to-back. Now this team was able to win a Stanley Cup last season. I can only assume they're going to do the same this time around. Hanzek, we were actually able to keep you around. We did a 1-year deal at $2.1 million. That's a great deal for what you're going to be providing to the team. The defense is still absolutely elite, no questions about that. However, the goaltending, Andrei Vasilevskiy, an 88 overall with only starter potential. The fall off is happening, but you know what? We can get one more Stanley Cup with you. You're still that guy. Also, by signing Hanzek, we use the rest of our money up here, so we just have to simulate the entire season. We can't stop the trade deadline. We cannot make any trades with this team. We have no money. So Vasilevskiy might have declined here, but you know what didn't decline? This team. A 55, 19, and 8 record. But you know what? I don't want to emphasize the offense because that was great. I want to point out our defense. We had the best defense in the NHL, and Vasilevskiy's not even the guy he used to be. Our goaltender is slowly regressing, but we're still the best defensive team. He's still holding it down. You can always rely on Vasilevskiy. Game in and game out, he's been the guy for us this entire rebuild. Connor McDavid's been fantastic. Cale Makar's been fantastic. Can't sleep on Matt Boldy. He's also been a great player for us. But you know what? Vasilevskiy, he's been one of the most important pieces. He's dropped to an 82 overall. He's lost all of his X factors. This is the final run. This is our last chance at a Stanley Cup. It's our last chance to win another Stanley Cup, and it's our last chance to repeat. So Vasilevskiy, you deserve one more than anyone. And you know what? We have the perfect team to finish it off against. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. The team that Vasilevskiy left in order to join the Moncton Tigers, it's only fitting we beat them in the first round. So Moncton's looking elite to start the postseason. We have a 3-1 lead on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it looks like we're eliminating them in 5 games. Not much of a surprise. So Moncton continues to look elite during the postseason. If Tampa can't stop us, nobody can. We got Ottawa up next. They better be ready for a quick sweep. So we're exchanging games with the Ottawa Senators, but I'm never going to be concerned about the Moncton Tigers because I already know they're going to show up when it matters most. We're heading into game 6 here. Are you really surprised we won that one and now we're off to game 7? I'm not. Like, Moncton's honestly the most reliable team in the NHL. It doesn't matter what game you are in. It doesn't matter if you're down in the series. They're always going to find a way to bounce back, and we're going to take this one 3-2. Yeah, we had a 3-goal lead in the final 3 minutes and then allowed 2 straight goals, but that doesn't matter. We're still off to the conference finals. So we took down the Ottawa Senators in a 7-game series, and for what I believe is like the 7th or 8th season in a row, we're in the conference finals. I think we've made the conference finals in every single season except for the first one. Like, this team has been just so consistent year after year, and one thing that we've been really consistent at lately, making it to the Stanley Cup final. We have one of the best in the New York Rangers taking on the Moncton Tigers, but with the recent success Moncton's had in the postseason, everyone should be scared of them. Alright, here we go, the Stanley Cup final. We swept the New York Rangers. They couldn't even put up a fight against us. Now it's the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Moncton Tigers. They don't have Cale Makar anymore, but that doesn't matter. I guess that doesn't matter. We got swept. In what was potentially Vasilevskiy's last postseason run, we got swept in the Stanley Cup final. McDavid, Stankoven, Cale Makar, you had numbers. When it comes to Vasilevskiy, obviously the numbers aren't going to be great just because of that Stanley Cup final, but he did everything he could. He's an 82 overall with star potential. I can only assume that he's going to be retiring. Now that is just an awful way to go out. Vasilevskiy getting swept in the Stanley Cup final, literally the worst way we could have gone out. Okay, Vasilevskiy is actually not retiring, and he wants to run it back for one more season. I am very surprised. The only concern I have is we're probably gonna have like a 79 overall starting goaltender. Vasilevskiy's not gonna be good. Like, yeah, he put up great numbers in the postseason, but overall wise, he is not that guy anymore. So we only had 1 pick in the draft. We got a low elite potential player, but he's not going to develop in time. We've got to focus on next season. Carcone, I'm not going to bring you back here. You are up to an 84 overall. 3.1 million is actually not too bad. Lindgren, what are you looking for? Because you're a key defenseman. I think we're going to let you walk, but if we can somehow bring back everyone else, then that might be the move. Like, we're going to start with Purcell. Purcell here, we're going to do a 1-year deal. We'll do $3 million. I think that's pretty fair for him. Honzek, he's probably going to want more than that. Actually, Honzek, we got to bring you back. That's an absolute steal right now. 2.1 million for the next two. Knizhov, you're a great third pairing defenseman, so 2.5 for the next two is pretty solid. Okay, Knizhov's the only guy that accepted their deal. Honzek, I do want to keep you around. We'll do 2.3 for the next two. That's a good deal for you. That's a bit more than what I offered you the first time around. Purcell, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA because you're asking for a bit much here. And then Carcone, I will keep you around on a 1-year deal. Can we do 1 year at 2.9 million? 2.9 for you, I feel is pretty good considering you're a 35-year-old player. Like, you're not getting any better here. So Ryan Lindgren, you're going to be walking. When it comes to our backup goaltender, Premu, you're going to be walking as well. You know what? We can bring him back. Never mind. I want somebody under $1 million. So Lindgren's going to walk. Purcell's going to be qualified as an RFA. So all we really have to do for next season is a backup goaltender and a new defenseman. So Vasilevskiy, you are looking for an extension, so I'll give it to you. We're going to do 3.9 for next season. Are you going to play next season? Probably not. I can't see you returning at 37 years old, but if you're willing to do so, then why not? Tovan, I would like to keep you around as well. We can do 5.2 for the next three. Ryder Ritchie, you've been a great bottom six piece for us. We can do under 2 million, 1.9 for the next two. That's a great deal. Homer, what are you going to be looking for? You're going to turn into a top pairing defenseman for us, so I'll lock you down for the next 4 years. We'll do 4.5 million. I feel like that's a pretty solid deal for you. We just got to get a third pairing defenseman right now. And then Chen, although you didn't jump into the lineup last season, you will be this season. 850k for the next two. And another guy I wouldn't mind bringing back is Sokolov here, so I'll do 1.7 for the next two. He was great last season, so let's keep him on the team. So we got to sign a couple guys in free agency. Coughlin's going to be the first one here. 1.5 for the next 2 years. A good third pairing defenseman for us. Homer's going to play on the second pairing this season. It's going to be Knizhov and Coughling on that third pairing. Honestly, that's not going to be too bad, especially if they have good line fits. And then when it comes to a goaltender, Bloomquist, I'll give you 1.1 for the next 2 years to be our backup. Why not? But with those two signings complete, we're ready for next season. So not only is Vasilevskiy declining now, but so is Connor McDavid. He's dropped to a 95 overall. We've been doing this rebuild for almost 10 years now, so I'm not really surprised that everyone's starting to decline. The only guy not declining here is Cale Makar, but he's only 32 years old. He's still got a couple more good years left in him. The real question, though, is Vasilevskiy going to be our starter once the postseason comes around? Because he might drop below an 80 overall, and that means Bloomquist is going to be the guy for us. But that's not going to be the case no matter what here. Vasilevskiy is going to be the starter no matter what in the postseason. And similar to last season, because of the salary cap situation with this team, we're just going to sim right to the end of the year. We don't got too much money to work with. Our team's still looking amazing though, so definitely don't count us out. So even though we're not the team we used to be here, we're still a pretty solid one. Third in the entire league, a 51, 27, and 4 record. However, the Chicago Blackhawks, they're just built different. A 63, 16, and 3 record. I am terrified to take that team on in the postseason, averaging 4.4 goals per game and only allowing 2.72. We can't even compete with them. Their offense is better than us. Their defense is better than us. Everything about the Blackhawks right now is better than the Moncton Tigers. But you know who they don't have? They don't have Cale Makar. They don't have a washed Connor McDavid. Yeah, this dude's just not that guy anymore. 94 overall, 71 points here. Yeah, the fall-offs happened, and it's happened real quick. This team's just not what they used to be. Vasilevskiy was the backup this season. Yeah, that's not the case heading into the postseason. Vasilevskiy, you've rested the entire year. You're the starter for the playoffs. Also, I feel like this proves that you don't need a good goaltender when it comes to the simulation. As long as you have a good forward core and a good defensive core, it doesn't matter which goaltender you have, they're going to be all right. But it looks like we have a repeat of last season. In the first round, who are we going to be matching up against? It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hopefully we get the same outcome. So I don't think it really matters what round we're in. It's going to be a tough matchup no matter what, because we just don't have the goaltending here anymore. But you know what? We're going to find a way to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're taking them down in Game 7, because we're off to Game 7 now. Now I have a ton of confidence in this team because we always show up in Game 7 when it matters most. However, we don't have the prime Vasilevskiy that we used to have. So you know what? This team's got to play better in front of them, and it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. The last time we lost in the first round was, I think, never. I don't think this team has ever lost in the first round. We've lost in the second round before, but I can't recall if we've ever lost in the first. Maybe in year number 1 we lost in the first round, but for some reason I think we lost in the second that year. So yeah, this team just lost in the first round for the first time in this video. You hate to see it, especially when it's in the final year. So the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be Stanley Cup champions here, but that doesn't really matter for this team. Let's head over to the retired players and let's see what Andrei Vasilevskiy's career stats are going to be, because I can guarantee you he retires. But then again, I've said that for the past 2 years now. Vasilevskiy's going to retire when he feels like retiring. So we're going to head over to goaltenders. This man's really running it back again. Alright, I guess we got another season in front of us. I mean, you got to give it to Vasilevskiy. That man will not quit, but eventually you kind of have to. So we had 4 picks in the draft, and we got some decent prospects here, but none of them are going to develop in time, so they're going to be good trade assets. Because yeah, we got to make a couple trades. We have to make sure this team's ready for next season. Because Vasilevskiy, for some reason, he still thinks he can play at an NHL level. I mean, you sort of can, can, but you also just sort of can't anymore. So the re-sign phase is going to be pretty pointless here. I'll sign a couple rookies, but outside that, we have no moves to make here. We have everyone under contract already, so we're just going to rock the exact same team. But just because we're not making any big signings during the re-sign phase doesn't mean we're not making big re-signings here. We got to start with Gavin McKenna, and we're going to be looking around 8.6 million for the next 6 seasons. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Here you go, Gavin McKenna. Actually, I'm going to give you a bit more than that. It's going to be 8.75 for the next 6. Keandre Miller, I think we're probably just going to ride out your contract here. What are you looking for? 9.6 million. We can't do that. Bork, we're going to ride out your contract as well. Zane Parik, I'll give you an extension. What are you looking for? Never mind. No, I won't. We're going to ride out your contract as well. You know what? We're not trading any of these key guys away. We're going to be bringing them all back. Holy crap, this guy's up to an 83 overall. I drafted him 164th overall 2 years ago, like the 2031 draft. He's already up to an 83 overall. So yeah, this guy's a superstar and he's jumping into the lineup immediately. But yeah, we're not re-signing anyone. We're under the impression this is the last season. Vasilevskiy, you're probably not even going to be the starter this season. Bloomquist is. You're going to be backing him up, and I might even have you back up at the postseason. I just don't think we can win with you anymore. So let's just immediately get ready for next season. The exact same team, player for player. Nothing's changing. But I will say, whether Vasilevskiy retires or not, this is going to be the last season, because I don't want to keep this video going, especially if Vasilevskiy's like a 77 overall. At that point, it just becomes pointless. Now, the big story for this season isn't the decline of this team. It isn't us bouncing back in the postseason after a very disappointing first round exit and Andrei Vasilevskiy dropping down to a 79 overall. The real story is McTavish here. Hey, this is stick on the ice in the editing process. I have no clue why I was calling him McTavish. It's Macintosh. So yeah, I'm bugging for the rest of the video because yeah, that is clearly Macintosh, not McTavish. Bro is an 85 overall in his rookie season, and I drafted him 164th overall in the 2031 draft. It took this man 1 year of development, and now he's an 85 overall. He's going to turn into an eventual superstar, but for now, we got to see if he can win this season. So it really shouldn't be much of a surprise that the Moncton Tigers continue to take steps back here. We dropped to 5th in the entire league with a 51, 26, and 5 record. The offense is still really good here, but the defense, certainly not what it used to be. But could we really be surprised about our goaltending? Like Vasilevskiy's dropped below an 80 overall. Clearly, he can't be the number 1 anymore. Connor McDavid, he's dropped to a 91 overall. He can't be the number 1 anymore. Cale Makar, what's your overall looking like? A 95. You can still be a top pairing defenseman. But yeah, simply the superstars on this team just aren't as good as they used to be. Vasilevskiy, you're a 78 overall. Do I put you in between the pipes for our Stanley Cup run? I think I have to. So Vasilevskiy's going to be the starter for the postseason. We have the Florida Panthers in the first round. If Vasilevskiy can lead us past Florida, then I fully believe we can win a Stanley Cup. If we lose to Florida, then clearly we can't win a Stanley Cup. So not only has the offense been flying in round number 1, but the defense has been spectacular as well. And you know who's leading the way for us? Andrei Vasilevskiy, of course. Do not blow a 3-1 series lead. All right, I guess we're headed to Game 7 now. So here we go, Game 7. The Moncton Tigers taking on the Florida Panthers. Austin Matthews on the Florida Panthers now, and Nelson are going to be picking up the first goals here. We got to respond. Okay, this game's over. Yeah, we lost 5-1. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. I mean, I guess we can't pretend that didn't happen. We really just blew a 3-1 series lead, and this was the final year. The final chance for this team to get another Stanley Cup, and we're going to be folding after having a 3-1 series lead. That's the worst way to go out. So it's finally time for Vasilevskiy to call it a career here. If he plays after this season, I actually might lose my mind. Sidney Crosby on the Edmonton Oilers is going to retire here. I just want to point out, Edmonton just won a Stanley Cup, so Sidney Crosby just won a Stanley Cup at 45 years old. We are in the year 2033. Sidney Crosby's an 81 overall. He's finishing with over 2,000 points here. He's finishing with over 2,300 points. Yeah, he was pretty good. When it comes to goaltenders, of course, we're going to see Vasilevskiy here. 416 wins, 56 shutouts. He's finishing with a 912 and a 272. This man was an absolute dominant force, and he helped the Moncton Tigers win a few Stanley Cups here. Should have we won a few more? Absolutely. We should have won 5 Stanley Cups with the core we had. Vasilevskiy, Connor McDavid, Cale Makar. We were a super team for a long time. We made it to 8 straight conference finals, and then during that time, I think we made it to 4 straight Stanley Cup finals or something like that. Like, we were an elite team, one of the best in the entire NHL. It's an absolute shame we didn't win more Stanley Cups.